What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, December 26th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 19:14 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas. So, Russia has begun conducting simulated exercises for a large-scale invasion of Finland and the Baltic countries, according to the Finnish news outlet Iltalehti. Apparently, according to this Finnish news outlet, the Russians are preparing to attack the Norwegian coast from the direction of Murmansk by sea, land, and air. The Russians would send landing forces to the Finnish Lapland, that's northern Finland, and Russian missile forces stationed on the Kola Peninsula would also attack Finland. Tens of thousands of Russian soldiers would participate in this attack. In the Lapland, the Russians would try to quickly seize the Ivalo airport. And according to NATO sources, the Russian Sixth Army is attempting a massive armored artillery and missile offensive to break through Estonia and Latvia. The goal of the attack would be to capture the capitals Tallinn and Riga. Tallinn is the capital of Estonia, and Riga is the capital of Latvia. Okay, so the Finns are reporting that Russia is preparing to attack Finland and Norway in the northern part of Scandinavia. And also, according to NATO sources, the Russian Sixth Army is attempting a massive armored artillery and missile offensive in Estonia and Latvia with the goal to capture the capitals. Wow. And also, according to this Finnish news article, the Russians would attack Lithuania through Belarus. The goal would be to gain a land bridge between Kaliningrad, which is part of Russia, and Belarus to capture the so-called Suwalki corridor. If the operation were successful, NATO forces fighting in the Baltics would be in danger of being geographically trapped, and Russia would try to complicate their position by attacking Finland's southern coast. Okay, so this is very, very concerning, guys. Russia is planning on attacking the Baltics and Finland. Okay, and Finnish authorities seized the Eagle S, a Russian oil tanker suspected of disrupting a critical undersea power cable between Finland and Estonia and damaging or severing 4 internet cables. So if you remember yesterday, Russia cut this cable between Finland and Estonia, and then this year they cut several internet cables. Well, now the Finnish government has seized a Russian oil tanker that they suspected was behind these attacks on the cables, okay, connecting Estonia to Finland. And what Russia's trying to do here by cutting all these internet cables and then an undersea power cable yesterday is clearly preparations for an invasion of Estonia and the Baltics, okay? They're cutting the internet cables. They're cutting the power cables now, okay? What are they doing? They're isolating Estonia, okay? The ship was boarded and escorted into Finnish waters and is alleged to have caused the damage with its anchor, leading to suspicions of grave sabotage. The incident affected 4 cables. The Estlink 2 submarine cable linking Finland and Estonia, which carries electricity. That's the one that was cut yesterday. 2 fiber optic cables linking Finland and Estonia, one of which is owned by a Chinese operator, and a 4th fiber optic cable connecting Finland and Germany. Finnish customs seized the vessel's cargo, and international entities, including the U.S. National Security Council and NATO, have pledged support for the ongoing investigations. Wow, this is absolutely huge news, guys. Absolutely huge. Okay, Finland seizing a Russian oil tanker suspected of being responsible for all these cables that have been cut. And this is very concerning that Russia cut a power cable yesterday connecting Finland to Estonia. And what you're looking at here is another signal-to-text transmission on the Russian buzzer, or UVB 76. That's the primary nuclear war frequency for Russia. And you can see clearly here a Ukrainian trident. And then after that, the words bye-bye were transmitted. So seems like Ukraine was trolling Russia and basically saying bye-bye. I don't know if they're going to attack some VIPs or if they're referring to that commander that they took out a couple days ago of the Russian nuclear, chemical, and biological forces. But this is pretty interesting. And Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov had a press conference today. In the press conference, he said that Ukraine is hitting civilian targets in Russia with Western missiles and drones. Okay, so accusing the West of providing missiles to Ukraine that are targeting civilians in Russia. Okay. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is EMP Shield. Guys, I'm proud to announce that I'm going to be partnering with EMP Shield. They have just given me a special discount code just for my subscribers. If you go to empshield.com and use the code NYPrepper when you check out, you'll get 15% off your entire order. Good for anything on their website. They're also doing a Cyber Monday sale. Guys, the threat of an EMP has never been higher, and you need to protect your vehicle and critical electronics. The EMP Shield is a device that protects your vehicle's computer or electronics by installing in line with the electrical system. The EMP Shield has passed rigorous military testing and is compliant with several military standards. They're also IP66 weatherproof and made in the USA. They can be used to protect your ham radio base stations, your RV, your camper, your solar generator, and various other things in addition to your vehicle. So go to empshield.com, use the discount code NYPrepper to get 15% off, and the link and the discount code are in the description below this video. He also said that Russia will not accept a ceasefire as it will lead to winning time for Ukraine to rearm and mobilize. He called it a road to nowhere. So this is pretty interesting because Trump proposed a ceasefire, and so now Russia is saying that they're not going to accept a ceasefire because it's just going to allow Ukraine to rearm, remobilize, reconstitute, rebuild their economy, which Russia doesn't want. Okay, they want Ukraine to be destroyed and weak and unable to fend for itself economically, militarily, etc. Okay. He also said that the Trump administration should be the one to make the first move to restore dialogue with Russia. He said Russia is willing to improve relations with the incoming administration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump if the U.S. makes the first move in restarting dialogue. Wow, so basically they want the U.S. to come begging to Russia, please, Russia, please, let's be friends again. Yeah, right. I highly doubt that Trump is going to do that. And Rosaviatsia, the Russian Federal Air Transport Authority, has announced the temporary closure of all 4 major airports in Moscow due to unspecified safety concerns. To ensure the safety of civil aircraft flights, temporary restrictions have been introduced. Okay, so that's today. Very, very interesting. Maybe they're going to be launching an Oreshnik soon and they want to keep planes from flying over Moscow, or maybe there's something else. I don't know, terrorism. And the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, wants to deploy 10 Russian Oreshnik missiles in Belarus. He said, if the Russians want to deploy more, we will deploy more. Wow. And Putin said today that Moscow could use intermediate-range ballistic missiles like the Oreshnik again, if necessary. And Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian will visit Moscow on January 17th to sign a comprehensive cooperation agreement with Vladimir Putin, Iran's ambassador to Russia, Qasem Jalali, said on Thursday. So isn't it interesting that Iran's president is rushing to Moscow 3 days before Trump gets sworn in, officially becoming the next president, to sign an agreement with Putin? Obviously, Iran is really afraid that Trump is going to strike their nuclear facilities with Israel. Okay, Trump has made it clear numerous times that Israel should have gone for the nuclear sites. And we know that Biden did not allow Israel to do that. And Israeli forces conducted massive airstrikes against multiple Houthi targets in Yemen, including the Sana'a International Airport and various infrastructure in the port city of Hodeidah. The Sana'a International Airport, as well as the ports of Hodeidah and Ras Isa, are all out of service following this morning's massive wave of Israeli airstrikes. And we're hearing that as many as 100 Israeli aircraft were involved in this strike. Okay, so isn't it embarrassing that Israel has to do what the U.S. should have done a long time ago? Okay. And the Houthis threatened to retaliate against the Israeli airstrikes earlier today. The Houthis have now released an evacuation notice to Israelis to stay away from the area around the Ben Gurion airport in Tel Aviv. So it looks like the Houthis are going to try to strike the Ben Gurion airport. So the situation in the Middle East is continuing to escalate. And Israel will continue its strikes on Houthi positions in Yemen until the job is done, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said today. In a video statement from the Israeli Air Force Command Center in Tel Aviv, Netanyahu confirmed that the Air Force had attacked Houthi targets in Sana'a along Yemen's coastline. He added, "We are determined to cut off this terror arm of the Iranian axis of evil. We will persist in this until we complete the job." Wow. So thank God for Benjamin Netanyahu being the leader of Israel in these dark times where Israel is under attack from all sides. I mean, just think of how it would be like without Netanyahu. I mean, he single-handedly destroyed Hamas, destroyed Hezbollah. Assad has been overthrown. Iran has been weakened. Now they're going after the Houthis. So Israel is cleaning up the area, cleaning up the Middle East of all the scum. And we're now hearing some reports that a Russian surface-to-air missile caused the Azerbaijan Airlines plane crash on Wednesday. According to Azerbaijani government sources, they said the plane was refused emergency landing in Russian territory and was ordered to fly to the Caspian Sea. Official sources linked to the crash investigation said that while nearing Grozny in Chechnya, surviving passengers heard an explosion followed by what looked like shrapnel hitting the plane and entering the fuselage. Preliminary findings from Azerbaijan's investigation suggest the plane was struck by a Russian Panzer air defense system and its communications were disrupted by electronic warfare systems near Grozny. Wow. So this is very, very sad and very bad news for Russia with their relations with Azerbaijan. And the Israeli airline El Al has now canceled all their flights to Russia following this plane crash. Due to the events in Russian airspace, El Al is suspending all flights on the Tel Aviv-Moscow route for the coming week. Next week, the situation will be reassessed and a decision on resuming flights will be made. And an Azerbaijani politician, Rasim Musabekov, said that the plane was shot down on Russian territory in the sky over Grozny. He said those who did this should be held criminally responsible and compensation should be paid. And if the Russian Federation does not apologize, then relations between Azerbaijan and Russia will move to another level. Wow. And Donald Trump's nominee for Ukraine's peace envoy, former General Keith Kellogg, denounced Russia's massive attack on Ukraine on Christmas morning, emphasizing that Christmas should be a time of peace. And Ukrainian forces have reportedly captured the first North Korean soldier. And Russian forces have advanced in Kurakova and completed the capture of the residential part of the city. After establishing control over part of the city center, Russian forces went on to try to encircle the Ukrainian formations in the north of the city, forcing them to withdraw westward. Battles continue for the westernmost high-rise buildings before Ukraine was forced to pull back to the thermal power plant, and Russian forces have advanced in the Pokrovsk direction and reached the eastern outskirts of Dachenske. After entering Dachenske from the south and establishing control over the southern houses, Russian infantry went on to attack to the east, clearing Ukrainian positions as they went west. They were then able to capture the easternmost houses of the village, reaching the Dachensky Pond. And France has completed training of Ukrainian pilots to operate the Mirage 2000 fighter jets. The French defense minister said the aircraft would be delivered in the first quarter of 2025. And I want to remind you guys that the Mirage 2000 fighter jets are nuclear capable, okay? And the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, announced that he had offered the Slovakian Prime Minister, Robert Fico, monetary compensation for refusing to supply Russian gas to Europe, but he rejected the offer. Wow. And Putin said today that he was open to having Slovakia host potential Russia-Ukraine peace talks. And the president of Turkey said our support for Ukraine's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence is unwavering. The return of Crimea to Ukraine is a requirement of international law. So the Turkish president taking a very pro-Ukraine stance. And the wife of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has been moved to isolation in Moscow due to a severe relapse of leukemia. Her condition is now assessed at a 50-50 chance of survival by her medical team. The interesting thing is that just a few days ago, she filed for divorce and was planning on moving to Europe. So this is very weird, guys. I wonder if she wasn't poisoned. Okay, I really have a hard time believing that her leukemia would just suddenly relapse into a severe state. Okay, that usually doesn't happen too often. Plus, she looks pretty healthy. Okay, and she had just filed for divorce, so I wouldn't be surprised if the KGB poisoned her because they didn't want her to spill any secrets. Okay, if she divorces Assad and then moves to Europe, I mean, she could tell anything to anyone, okay? And Russia's not going to allow that. So I think she was poisoned, but I could be wrong. And Russia has declared a state of emergency due to an oil spill spreading in the Black Sea following the tanker accident near the Kerch Strait last week. Some 3,700 tons of low-grade fuel oil have spilled into the Black Sea since 2 Russian oil tankers were severely damaged in a storm on December 15th. But that's the latest breaking news that I have, guys. I will be in and out of the 24/7 live stream tonight and tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow with another update. And make sure you follow me on Telegram and Twitter. I post all my updates over there. Don't rely on YouTube because sometimes YouTube doesn't send out notifications. So follow me on Telegram and Twitter. And the links to my Telegram and Twitter are in the description below this video. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. Culinary out.